Getting Real with Ashleydawn, and today I want to talk to you about proof and potential. What do you mean by that? Well, I have talked to a lot of girls and guys about relationships over the last 15 years, and while talking to people, either they've said or I've said or it's been mentioned like, well, there's a lot of potential here. And, you know, you go to a marriage conference and say, don't marry potential. Don't marry potential. You'll be really upset if you marry potential. Well, I want to talk about potential, and then I want to talk about proof, okay? Because there's two different things. So potential is seeing hope in a situation that may not seem the most hopeful. What does that mean? You meet a guy and maybe he doesn't want a relationship, but maybe you see little glimpses of what a relationship could be if he changed his mind. Or you see character traits that you would really like in a significant other. Okay, that's potential. Proof is when you see somebody that is consistently being what you're looking for, what you want, what you've been praying for, what you've been dreaming of. But consistency. Consistency is a lot more powerful than potential. Potential is hope. Consistency is proof. Proof is consistency. What does it mean? Okay, you can hire somebody for a job. This keeps going. I think it's because the thing that I have behind it, the charger. Let's try to put it behind it. Let's see if that works better. So, potential is maybe you hire somebody for a job, and maybe they're there some days, maybe they're late some days, maybe, you know, sometimes they do a really good job, sometimes it's kind of shoddy. That's potential. There is potential for them to be an amazing employee. They're just not being consistent. On the other hand, then you have proof of somebody being a great employee by them consistently doing what you've asked them to do or what they've signed up to do or the job that you have for them. Essentially, a relationship is just a job. I mean, it sounds, you know, like bad, but it's not bad. It is a job. In a relationship, you have a job. You have a purpose to come together with the other person you're in a relationship with, to be a team, to be partners, and to win at life. What does that mean, Ashley? What does winning at life mean? Well, you have mutual dreams and mutual goals, and you help each other achieve them. A relationship is a job. And if at any time you are slacking off, you can be fired from that job. However, I keep yawning. Maybe I need some water. Maybe my brain needs some oxygen. However, you slack off at your job, you can get fired. But if you do a really great job at your job, you're consistently showing up, you're consistently putting in the work, you're consistently showing that you A, appreciate the job, and B, are giving your all for it, well, then you can have a promotion. Ashleydawn, what is a promotion? Well, it's when you go from somebody that's maybe talking to you to maybe you're in a relationship, you're dating, you have a committed relationship, your boyfriend, girlfriend, and then you get promoted to fiance. Then you get promoted to husband or wife. And then at the end of your life, if you do a good job, if you walk in your purpose, if you honor the Lord, when you go to heaven, you will be promoted to faithful. Faithful husband, faithful wife, faithful child, faithful partner. There's promotions. But potential doesn't get promotions. Consistency gets promotions. Proof gets promotions. So what does that mean, Ashleydawn? Why did you want to do this video on potential and proof? Well, I've dated a good bit, and I've been in a good bit of relationships. I've been married and divorced, and that was a nightmare in itself. But I know a little bit about relationships, especially bad ones. And I know a little bit about good ones too, because I've watched my parents lay their lives down for each other and love each other and serve each other and really win at life together. Now, are they, millionaires and super successful and they have everything figured out? No, they went through a lot of hardships, but they did it hand in hand. They did it on the same team. They did it encouraging and loving one another, right? It's a big, big old difference. So, potential is hope. Proof is consistency. You don't want to marry potential. You want to be interested in potential. You want to be curious about potential. You want to see where that potential may lead, but you never want to marry potential. If you're a girl and you're watching this and you're seeing a lot of potential in a guy that you're interested in, okay, make sure you're looking for proof before, you get in real deep. Make sure you see proof that he is a good man, that he cares about your heart, that he wants to take care of you, that he one day will be a good father, that he'll be a good husband, that he'll be a good son. Excuse me, it's getting real. It's early in the morning. But that he'll be a good son, that he'll be, good to your parents, to your mom, to your dad, that he'll be good to his own parents. Like, you need to see consistency. No, he doesn't have to be perfect, but you have to see him consistently being a good man. Not a perfect man, but a good man. You got to see him consistently telling the truth, consistently having conversations that are not the easiest. You got to see him consistently going to work, that he'll consistently provide for his family. He doesn't have to be a wealthy man, but it's important that he has the desire and the want to provide for his family. If you're a guy watching this and you see a girl and you're like, oh, she has, I gotta take this off, it's gonna annoy me because it's so loud, and the people that are watching this video are probably like, Ashleydawn, all I can hear is clankety clank, clank, clank. So, if you're a guy watching this, shout out Mark and Jay and Tyler and Colby. Watch my videos, y'all are the best. If you're a guy and you're looking at a girl that maybe you're interested in, and maybe you're thinking, wow, there's some potential there, make sure that there's consistency and proof of who you think she is, that she actually is. Because a lot of times, you see a pretty girl, and guys fall in love with their eyeballs. You see a pretty girl, and she's shaped real nice, and she's real sweet to you, and you're like, this is the one. You haven't even taken time to get to know her heart. You haven't even gotten to take the time to know what she wants out of life. But you're like, well, she looks good and she's nice to me, so that checks my boxes. Let's get married. And that's when you get yourself into a heap of trouble. What you need to do is you need to get to know the girl. You need to know if that potential has some proof behind it. If she is a good woman. If she cares about the less fortunate. If she cares about the things that you care about. If she would be a good mom. What is she going to teach your kids? What kind of wife is she going to be? Is she going to nag you to death? Oh, but she looks good. Them looks are going to go out the window with about a month of nagging. You're going to be like, I don't care how good she looks. She needs to shut up. And I'm just being real. That's how it's going to be. Because nobody wants to be nagged. You need to find these things out before you rush to the altar. The reason there is so many divorces is because everybody's rushing to the altar. And they're rushing to get married. They don't even know the person. But, oh, she's cute. He's good looking. I'm going to marry him. No. You need to know that that person you are interested in is actually a good person. That they're actually who you think they are. Many of you know my story. I got married to somebody that I thought was one way because they were showing me that they were one way, and they weren't. They were a total lie. They were living a double life, to which I had no idea of until after we got married. I don't want anybody to have to go through what I went through. I don't want anybody to marry a stranger. I don't want anybody anybody to marry somebody that betrays them and lies to them and treats them like trash. I don't want anybody to go through that. That's why I share my story. Is it a happy story? No, it ain't. Am I proud every time I share it? No. It carries a lot of shame with it and condemnation and like, why didn't you know better? Why didn't you have more discernment? Why didn't this? Why didn't that? But I share it because I don't want nobody going through what I went through. Do not rush off to the altar because you see potential. Take your time. Christian singles that are like, I just want to have sex, I just want to hurry up and get married so I can have sex. I'm telling you, no matter how good the sex is, if you don't know that person, it don't matter. It really don't. Do not rush off to get married just so you can have sex. I promise you, sex can wait. And I'm not encouraging you to have sex before marriage, but if the only reason you're getting married is to do it, I'd say just do it. Because at the end of the day, breaking up with somebody that you gave your body to and you gave your heart to, yeah, it's gonna hurt. But getting a divorce is on a whole nother level. People don't talk about how ugly divorces are. People don't talk about financially how ugly divorces are. And like legally what divorces are. They don't talk about that. They don't talk about the stigma of divorce. They don't talk about the letter D of shame, They don't talk about, it's like a scarlet letter, really, that you're like branded with, oh, she's divorced, he's divorced. No, like, ugh. Yes, I believe God hates divorce, but God also hates liars. God also hates manipulators. God also hates people that betray others. Like, God hates sin, any kind of sin, all kinds of sin. But he also loves us. Even though we're sinners, he sent his son to take our punishment so that we could be in right relationship with him. So, yes, that letter D, I get it. Trust me, I get it. But if you're rushing to the altar, and you can say all day long, I will never get a divorce. I will never do this. I will never do that. I said all those things when I was a little girl, and I promised myself I never would. And I let it get so bad in our relationship that I was in the hospital because I was like, well, at least I'm in the hospital and I'm not divorced. And then I started thinking to myself, that ain't good. That ain't good. And so I got a divorce, and guess what? I wasn't in the hospital no more. It's like, it's magic. It's a miracle. But my point is, do not rush off to the altar just because you see some potential. Lots of people have potential. Don't mean they're going to act on it. It don't mean they're going to be who you think they are. And here's the other thing, and it can go with guys or girls. I have seen things. I believe the best in everybody, and so I struggle with this probably more than most people do. I see things as though sometimes I want them to be, and not necessarily as they are. With my ex-husband, I believed the best in him, and we went to counseling, and I got all these books from the Christian bookstore, and I was going to help him, and I signed him up for classes at church, and to help him with recovery and to help him with all this different stuff. But he had to want to go. I couldn't force him to go. He had to want to be a husband. I couldn't force him to be my husband. He had to want to be faithful. I couldn't force him to love me. I couldn't love him more so that he would love me. He had a screw loose in his mind that in his head he thought it was fine to be unfaithful in a marriage. He thought it was fine to go off with other women and do all kinds of stuff. He thought that was okay. Well, guess what, friends? It's not. You can't force someone to be faithful. And I learned that the hard way. But my point is, he had potential to be faithful. He had potential to be a good husband. He just chose not to. And so my point is, do not marry potential. Okay, he could be a good husband, but is he loving you in your relationship, in your dating relationship, the way a husband should love a wife? If not, pump them brakes. If that girl isn't loving you the way a wife should love a husband, pump them brakes. Do not get married. Think about it. Spend some time getting to know each other. Communicate a little bit. Think about it. Do not rush off to the altar. Do not rush off to well, when we get married, everything will be perfect. No, my friend, no. If it ain't perfect before you get married, it surely ain't going to be after. Marriage is not like a bibbity-bobbity-boo wand, that the fairy godfather, mother waves, and then you turn into Cinderella in a big sparkly dress. No. Marriage is a magnifying glass, and it's a mirror. It magnifies all the things that you don't like about another person, and then it's a mirror for all the things you don't like about yourself. If you notice, if anybody's watching this and they've been married any amount of time, you'll notice you start not liking things in your spouse, and then you take a little bit, and then you're like, ugh, I do that too. I don't like it in my spouse because I don't like it in myself. That happens a lot. You have to know who the person is. And I know you can be with somebody 10 years and still don't completely know them. You kind of got to be a student of life, of them for life. And that's what marriage is. It's studying, it's loving, it's laying your life down for another person every day. And it's showing the love of God. What is the love of God? It's unconditional love. It says, I love you even if sometimes I don't want to. Even if sometimes I don't like you. Even if sometimes you get on my very last nerve, I'm still going to love you and I'm still going to serve you because I made a commitment. I made a covenant and a vow, not a contract, a vow and a covenant. And covenant is really like a biblical promise to God and to each other to love you for the rest of my life. And so I'm going to. In the Bible, obviously, if somebody's running around on you and they're cheating on you or they're putting you out or they're beating on you, well, the Bible is very clear. You don't have to legally stay in that marriage. Look it up. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. Don't take anything in my videos as the Bible until you look it up in the Bible and find that it matches. So, I'm just a person. I got opinions. Sometimes I'm reading the Ashleydawn Bible and not God's Bible. So, you got to figure out the difference. My point is this. When you marry potential, you're kind of setting yourself up to get hurt. Instead of marrying proof, marrying consistency. Like, if I bake a real pretty cake, okay, this cake is just so pretty. And you're just like, that cake has potential to be the best cake I ever tasted. But you didn't see my ingredients. You didn't watch me cook it. I could have used salt instead of sugar. I could have used salt instead of sugar. And you wouldn't be able to tell the difference in the way that it looks, but if you tasted it, you'd be able to tell the difference. My point is, you need to have proof that someone is who they say they are, that someone can be who you think they can be. If they say, I'm going to love you for the rest of my life, well, if they're not loving you now, they're probably not going to love you then. If they're not laying their life down for you now, they're probably not going to do that in the future. If they're not being faithful now, they're probably not going to be faithful in the future. You can have potential all day long, but if there's not proof of action behind that potential sadly is kind of just hope. And hope deferred makes the heart sick. That's scripture. That's Bible right there. I have seen so much potential in so many different people, right? I've met people and been like, wow, they have a lot of potential. And then 10 years later, I see they haven't done nothing with their potential. They're still working at that job that ain't going nowhere, that they're not happy with, that they're not doing anything with, and they have all this potential for greatness. I've known friends that have been so artistically just blessed by God. And I told them, like, you have potential to do amazing things. Like, you could be, a sculptor. You could be a painter. You could be a portrait artist. You could do tattoos. Like, you could do, like, you're really, really gifted. You could be a mural artist. The potential is there, but they don't want to do the action. They don't want to do the work to see it come to fruition. Do not marry potential. If you see potential, awesome. Speak to it. Encourage them. Let them know that you see something in them that could be great. But then take the time and be patient and see where that potential takes them. Do not rush into marriage. Do not rush into I just want to have a ring before spring. I want to be married. I want to have babies. I want to do this. Listen, if you're not happy single, you are not going to be happy with somebody else. Being happy is an inside job. You have to be happy with yourself before you can ever be happy with anything else. If my cup, okay, say I got a cup, or say I got a bottle, and there's a hole in my bottle that doesn't hold the water in it, no matter how much I love that bottle, there's still a hole in it. And the water's still going to get out. The water's still going to leak. But if I take the time and patch that hole, maybe I get a piece of rubber tape or, a sticker or something or some duct tape, and I patch that hole, I'm going to be able to drink water. Sometimes you got to patch the holes in your own life before anything else can be added to it. If you're miserable being single, guess what? When God sends you somebody, you're going to be miserable with them, and you're going to make them miserable. So learn to be happy single. Learn to be happy without somebody else there. Learn to be happy when it's just you. Learn to be happy with the house that you live in. Learn to be happy with the car that you drive. Learn to be happy with the phone that you have, even if it's, an iPhone 2. At least you got a phone. Learn to be happy with what you have, and then you will be amazed with anything else that comes along. Do not get excited about potential. Potential is awesome, but that's all it is potential. You need proof in a marriage, in a friendship, in a job, in every single situation. You need proof. If somebody tells you they want to borrow $100 from you, okay? Let's start off small. I was going to say $1 million, but let's just say $100. Somebody says they want to borrow $100 from you, and you don't really have $100. You're going to be a little concerned with their ability to pay you back. So, they might have the potential to pay you back, but have they paid you back before? Have they paid their other debts before? Or do they kind of just do whatever and see what happens? I just don't want you guys to get hurt because you're running away with potential and you are just, potential. No, honey boo boo. No. You need to see proof. You need to see consistency. Are they who they say they are on a consistent basis? Anyone can be good for a day. Anyone can be good for a month. But what about a year? What about 2 years? What about 3 years? And granted, some people do keep appearances up. My ex, we dated. Our story is so crazy. I should do a video just about that because it is just plumb crazy. And looking back, hindsight is 20/20. I was a little naive and I believed the best in everybody way too much. That was my downfall. My point is this, okay? Lots of people can say lots of different things. You shouldn't believe everything you hear. What is it? You shouldn't believe anything you hear and only half of what you see. Sometimes that potential is just potential. I know it sounds crazy and you're thinking, Ashleydawn, what do you mean? Well, sometimes people have potential, but they don't do nothing with it. It's like if I give you a gift and it's something you've been wanting for a really, really long time. Say I give you, one of my friends asked me if I wanted my windows tinted. So let's just say window tint. Say I give you window tint, but you never put it on your windows. And yes, these are tinted. I paid, $200 at the dealership to get my windows tinted, and believe me, I'm not happy. I would not recommend the Hyundai dealership in Fort Myers for nothing. But that's beside the point. So, if I give you tint, but you never put it on your windows have the potential to be tinted, but they're not because you haven't done anything with it. If somebody has the potential to be a good person, but they don't do anything with it, they're not going to be a good person. Somebody has the potential to pay their bills, but they sit on their bottom all day long and they don't go to work. That potential ain't going to do nothing. Them bills ain't going to get paid. So, do not get excited about potential. Don't do it. Wait until you see proof. Wait until you see consistency. Somebody consistently being the same over an extended period of time. If somebody is sweet, they continue to be sweet. If somebody is thoughtful, they continue to be thoughtful. If somebody, whatever they are, if they continue to be that on a consistent basis, you can pretty much bet that's who they are. And another thing I will say, sometimes we talk too much, aka me. Sometimes I talk too much. I have realized that if I just shut my mouth sometimes, and if I'm just quiet, people will reveal who they truly are if you listen. My ex, I didn't give him the chance to show me who he was because I was so busy encouraging him. I was so busy cheering him on that if I would have just stepped back, stopped being so darn nice, which is my downfall. Sometimes I am just nicer than anybody can realize. But if I would have just stepped back a little bit. Hey y'all, so to finish this video, I should probably put my windows up so that y'all can hear me, for one. But I was talking about potential and proof. There's a big difference in saying someone has potential to be a future husband, a future wife, or that there's proof that when that day would come, should come, maybe come, that they would be who you desire them to be. And I say all that to say, most of us don't want to get married to somebody that's going to be unfaithful or unloyal, or that's not going to be there through thick and thin, through sickness and in health, in richer or poor, in the hard times and the good times. Like, there's a reason for the last, I don't even know how long those vows have been around, that they're incorporated in the vows for sickness and in health, because you don't marry somebody just on your healthy days. You're going to get sick. Things are going to happen. Life is going to happen. And you can't just abandon your partner when things get tough, right? I was talking to somebody yesterday, one of my really good friends, and she was telling me a story about how somebody in her life, like, they straight dipped on their partner when a tragedy happened. Like, you don't dip on your partner, on your wife, on your husband when a tragedy happens. Life happens. Life is imperfect. So guess what? If you're living knock knock, it's going to be imperfect. Things are going to happen. You don't walk out on your partner in a fire like the movie Fireproof, which I love. Some people love it, some people don't, but I personally love it. I love what it stands for. You go into the fire to rescue your partner. You make sure your partner comes out with you, and I'm not telling you to run into a burning house, but you do whatever it takes to make it work. And you may say, well, Ashleydawn, you've been divorced. Yeah, and I did whatever it took to make it work until I realized that the other person had no intentions of it ever working, because they were continually, it's like when you're building a house, like I was building the bricks, and stacking them up and putting the cement in between, and making sure they were everything. And right when I was doing that, he was going behind me and throwing them behind him and taking them off and taking them off. So no matter how hard I tried, he was destroying everything that I was trying or attempting to build. And so a marriage isn't going to work. Both people have to be trying. Both people have to be committed to one another. And so if you're looking to date, if you're looking to have a boyfriend, a girlfriend, make sure that the desires line up with yours. How do they feel about marriage? How do they feel about relationships? Is it okay if you cheat? Is it okay if you go to a strip club? Is it okay, if you watch porn? Is it okay if you check other people out at the supermarket? Is it okay if you talk about how hot somebody is in a movie? Like, is that okay? If it's okay for you and it's not okay for the person you're dating, that could be a problem. For me, it's not okay ever for somebody that is in relationship with you to look at anybody else of the same sex as you. Like, no. Once you go to the ice cream store and you buy the ice cream, that's the ice cream you get. Once you decide this is the person I'm going to be with, that's the person you get to be with. If at any time you decide that's not the person you want to be with, please make sure that you're not actually in a relationship with them. And if you are, break up with them. Listen, I would rather get dumped, which I've never gotten dumped, but I would rather get dumped than get cheated on. And I've had the opposite. I've gotten cheated on. And that's not fun. It is not fun. And I don't care what your reason is for cheating. Oh, they didn't put out. Oh, they didn't do this. And listen, this is getting real. So I'm going to get real. And I'm going to say exactly how I feel and exactly what's on my heart and exactly what's on my mind. But there's no reason to cheat. If you want to be with somebody else, break up with the person you're with. Yeah, it may hurt them, but it's better to get broken up with than to get cheated on. Trust me, been there, done that. Promise you. But my point is this: you need to make sure that your idea of loyalty and your idea of relationship matches up with their idea of loyalty and their idea of a relationship. Because if it doesn't, you are going to have problems, my friend. For instance, in my relationship, I thought, because he agreed with everything that I said and, you know, pretended to think exactly the same way that I did, I thought we were on the same page with commitment and loyalty and wanting to be together and only together. And what's the word? It's not faithfulness, but it is. It's another word. I don't know the word, but that we're committed to each other and only each other. Obviously God too, but that there would be nobody else in our relationship other than us and God. You know, like a triangle, like me, husband, God. So we go to God and we meet each other there. I thought that's the way it was going to be. He didn't think that. And I dated guys that didn't think that either. That were like, porn's okay. Strip clubs are okay. This is okay. Checking out other people is okay. No, it's not. It's not okay with me. Like, Either I'm the only woman in your life or I'm not a woman in your life. Like, that's it. Like, I'll be your friend, but I ain't going to be nothing else. Loyalty is loyalty to me. And here's the thing. Like, I know some people are into the Enneagram. Some people aren't. I don't really care if you are or you aren't. But one of the biggest things for me is loyalty. Like, I value loyalty and honesty above pretty much everything else. Like, loyalty is everything to me. And honesty is everything to me. And so that's going to affect me a lot more than it's going to affect somebody else. If somebody's not loyal to me, that's going to hurt me a ton. If somebody lies to me, that's going to hurt me a ton just because of the way that I was made. My parents were very loyal. My parents were also very honest, and they shared their struggles and they shared things with me that most parents probably don't share with their kids, and that's fine. You know, if you want your children not to know what's going on in finances or not to know what's going on in the world, that's your prerogative as a parent. But my parents were very forthright in they wanted to make sure that I knew about life, in that I knew what was going on. Like, my parents didn't baby talk me. They were always, you know, very themselves, I guess. And so it's funny when I hear, like, it's cute, like a little baby talk. Like, sometimes like, oh, but like all the time when your child is like 20, I don't think so. Anyways, so my point is, there is potential and there is proof. If you're interested in someone, check the potential and make sure there's proof that backs up that potential. Don't make it so it's like, this is your dream, right? This is your idea, and this person fits it. No. Make sure the person is who they say they are, is who you think they are. I hope this encouraged you. You are seen, you are celebrated, and you are loved. And I want you to live your best life, but I also want you to have the best dating, best relationship possible. And that starts with being honest, being loyal, there's some road work. being honest, being loyal, and also knowing what your partner wants and them knowing what you want. Because it's important. Thank you. It's important to know what each other wants, and it's important to know that potential you see, there's some proof behind it. I love y'all. I hope this encouraged you. It encouraged me. I'll catch you in the next one.